Hey, welcome back. We are doing a review of The Alchemist. This was recommended to us by a friend of ours. We're late paper dreamers, and we have some opinions and ideas and stuff about The Alchemist. If you want a review on it, you're in the right place. um, so yeah, I guess initial impressions on The Alchemist. Did you like it?
I did like it.
Okay,
Uh,
cool.
I think it was something because we were kind of like in our fantasy kick, like
Yeah,
I
our
guess in our
romanticy. Okay,
era.
I was thrust upon me with the romanticy, but yeah,
You
yeah,
enjoy it
I
though.
did enjoy a lot of it, most of the chapters of it. Um, this was a nice break in pace because I don't really know what genre this is. Like, what genre would you say is like fable kind of
Yeah.
storybook? Little tell your kid. I would read this to my kid. Oh, also, I'm wearing mine on my. We have mics now. It's a little bit
Yes.
of an update. We have gotten these nice little microphones that we're holding. Alexandra's a little bit quieter than I am, and I'm a little bit too loud for my own good. So I put mine on my chain, and Alexandra's talking into hers, so that we are equal but not separate. All right. I don't know what
Okay.
to
What?
say. But so we read this maybe 3 months ago, a month ago, maybe by now. You think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
something like
mean,
that.
that sounds about right.
Yeah, so we were sitting on this for a little while, but I remember reading it and I really did enjoy it. It was really slow at first, which I think you also agreed that it's like pretty
Hmm.
slow. But I think it makes sense towards why it's so slow in the beginning. It's kind of like an introspective look on life and helps you navigate all that. I hope to God you can't hear my family playing loud music. Um, But yeah, this book is kind of a slow read at first, I think a little bit, but it's not like it feels like it's going anywhere. Like it would be a slow read if I was anticipating it to like turn into something that was going to be like action packed, but I was just kind of like sitting there. So it was more of a storybook, and I liked how meditative it was in the beginning. Like even though it was like kind of boring at first, I still liked that it was like I'm looking at the stars and the moon. I'm a shepherd. I go in different places and stuff like that. So that was nice. And then by the time you get into that vibe, they shake it up, and it's really really good to me. I liked every message that it had in it, and I really liked the book. I thought I was gonna like hate on the book because I thought it was preachy at first, just hearing people talk about it. But it turns out it was like just pretty good. How did you how did you feel about when you first you know heard about The Alchemist? You,
Um, I mean, I knew that there were like a lot of deep meanings and like life lessons that I would probably like get out of it just from like hearing about it. So I did like appreciate that.
yeah,
I just think like uh I mean it was a nice breather, but also like getting so used to reading like one certain
yeah,
genre was a
yeah.
little different.
Did you like changing up the genre, or do you think that it was a little weird? This one's a weird genre to switch up to, for sure. I think but yeah, as far as like the book goes, as far as the book goes, this is a whole about the book. As far as like the things that we did like pick out of it, I think there's a lot of really nice themes in it. Um and there's a lot about following dreams, and they make it seem more like the way that the world is, I guess. Like the main dream, which correct me if I'm wrong, the main character's dream is that he is with his sheep, right? And they lead him to a kid in his dream leads him to a pyramid,
Mhm.
right? And near the pyramid or somewhere around the pyramid, he gets his treasure, and in the dream, and he's supposed to become this famous king or something like that. Um, which was a nice way to say. I don't really remember the initial dream, but it was a nice way to have like a goalpost put in at the beginning. Um, and then I think that kind of carries throughout the book of him like having this one dream that he has, and we know what it is, so we can compare it with other people's dreams. Like There was like a baker in the beginning where he wanted to travel to, but he never did it. It seemed like a very much of a traveler's guide um, to to life, I guess, or like at least how to continue traveling against all the things they're telling you no. Um, so we'll probably just talk about some transformative moments because we have it written there that we thought were like really important to understand the book. And so I went over the first one, and then the next one is him.
Losing all his money and learning to see the omens.
Yeah. Do you do you remember when he loses his money?
Yeah, poor guy.
He
he,
was a little naive. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, like when he finally like left his town, he's like, I guess on the way
Mm.
to the country. Um,
He sold all his sheep to get that
yeah,
money.
so he's gotten his money and he stops at like what, like a tavern or something,
Yeah, some
and
sort of bar or something like
yeah,
that.
and so he doesn't have like a huge grasp on like the language there, and
Yeah.
he meets this like guy that's like around his age, and the bartender like gets in an argument with the other
Mm.
guy, and he thought like he was being like mean to like his new, who he considered a new friend,
Yeah, yeah.
and he found out later like he was trying to warn him about
Mm.
him being like a thief.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And um that was a nice little learning moment that he had for sure. Because
mhm.
I don't know how old he is at this point. I'm guessing he's around like 20 something. I don't remember if they said it's a little it's a little young to be having this learning moment. I mean a little old to be having this learning moment. But he ends up penniless and
Mm.
because he loses him in a bazaar because he gave his money to the guy because he said he would take him to the pyramids, which is where he's trying to get to. And the guy basically just often runs with it, and he ends up in the street like a beggar, and no food. And so the next morning comes, and he's down on his luck, and I think he had Umin. And do you know how to pronounce those
No,
names? Okay. Do you want to get? I pronounced Umin. You want to go for the other one? Yeah, don't want to commit. All
I
right,
don't even remember what
Thumin.
they're.
But they basically tell the omens that they basically point him in this direction, which I thought was really really nice that there's like a visual representation of like the omens, I guess, or like some sort of like guiding light. I think this book is pretty much a whole. All of it is just like kind of a metaphor for like a lot of things. I don't know what Umin and Thumin are for all of us, but I think that like we have something that we can look to determine where we're going, which sounds like a lot of metaphysical stuff and like kind of like like just like cool, like crazy kind of like voodoo stuff. But I do think that everybody has that thing that they can look to when they want guidance. If it's like a friend, you can look to me. I'll give you some guidance. I probably won't, but that was nice. And so he decided to try and find some work so that he could make it out of town. He wasn't trying to achieve his goal at that point, right? Like he gave up, right? Sort of. If you
Yeah,
remember, I don't know if you remember or not.
I mean, he definitely like felt sad. Like I think had second thoughts, but I think he got
Mm,
revamped in our
okay,
the
okay.
next one.
And then he meets a
Hmm.
crystal merchant who sells glass, and the boy is basically trying to convince him to hire him on so that so that he can make some money, so that he can raise money to leave, which is going to take about a year's time. And it was a it was a nice way to show that the boy has some sort of ambition, or not ambition, but like motivation to continue doing things. Because I swear, if a dude told me to leave his shop, I probably would leave his shop, and I probably wouldn't do the work. I probably just think I'm down on my luck. But I'm his persistence was nice, and you got another image of what a goal is, or like what a journey is. And in the man who had a dream to get to Mecca, which is the holy place um, for Islam, I think is like the place that you have to visit at least once in your lifetime. Do 3 circles around. I'm not sure. I'm not Islamic, but Islamic. That's the wrong. I'm not Muslim. Am I gonna have to cut this? Nah, I'll leave it in, whatever. But he basically had a dream to do that for his whole life. I guess he's like a really old man now, and so the boy comes into his life and makes him a lot of money. You know, teaching him how to do, not teaching him, but like introducing new ideas, cleaning his shop for him, and then putting his stuff outside so that more people see it. They're at the top of the mountain. They start selling it with tea in it, in the glass, and then they people want to buy the glass after that for tea. And it's you can see that that boy's ambition is kind of like touching the people around him, which is like honestly like Alexandra has ambition that helps me continue doing this, and I'm sure I also inspire her. I think there's a lot of things like in every moment of the book that kind of feels like a little too eerily similar to things. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, and the tea in the crystal glass, I think, is what makes them like super famous. And so, but the man says that he's like really sad now because he can reach Mecca, but once he reaches his goal, he's not gonna um, he's not gonna want to do anything else with his life. It's gonna be pointless. So the journey's more important to him, I guess. Um, and I think before that or after that is when we have the message from the the wise man, the wisest man. Do you want to take that one, or do you want me to take that one?
Uh,
Do you remember what happened?
s- Honestly, I don't remember. Like, are you
The wise man,
the
the dream or whatever he
key?
had, or like it was just like randomly in the book. It was where he was like, uh, it was where he was like in between um Spain and Africa, I think, and it was like, oh, there was a guy who wanted to know how the true secret to happiness, and he went to the mountain, and the dude, the sage, was like, walk around my shop for an hour, holding this spoonful of
Oh, mm,
vegetable oil, and then come back, and then I'll talk to you. And he walks around, and he made sure he didn't spill the vegetable oil, and then he's like, how'd you like all the stuff in my shop? And the wise man was like, I'm sorry, the boy said, I didn't look at any of the stuff in the shop. I was just trying to make sure I didn't drop this because I came here for the secret of happiness. And that was more important. And so the wise man was like, walk around the shop again and look at the things that I have. And he was like really amazed. And he came back an hour and he lost all the stuff in it, in the spoon. And the wise man was just like, the secret to is to make sure that you don't lose focus of the spoon as you're walking around, but to also appreciate the beauty in life and all that mumbo jumbo. But you can see that one story play out as the I think that that's what Umin and Thumin are.
mm,
Is personally my theory. I have a lot of theories on this, and I just remembered. I think that Umin and Thumin are like the two paths that point in different directions. You know what I mean? One is like staying too focused on earthliness, and the other one's like staying too focused on your dreams or your passions, where you forget the other. And so, like having them as guiding lights was kind of nice to see. Um, yeah, and
yes.
then
Then we have finding.
you can read it verbatim. Go ahead. Oh wait, that's
That
a little bit later, isn't it?
yeah, that's what I was
But we're
saying.
not going sequentially. This is
Yeah.
about themes.
Anyway, Fatima and her message about how true love plays into a personal legend.
How does that happen? What is love to what is
What
love
is
to
love?
a traveler? It was really nice to see um, love portrayed as sacrifice instead of like being happy with somebody. You know, it's a very selfless kind of act. Um, love for like, because Fatima was like is like a woman that they met in the that he met in the desert on his
Hmm.
journey,
The Oasis.
the oasis where they were got ransacked, which is crazy. That was stressing me out. Um, but she's okay with letting him go on to his journey.
Yeah, and there's like something like she explained to him too, her parents, like didn't
Mhm.
he her father go to like war?
Yeah, and then a lot of the other people in the village who were widows, or not widows, but their husbands that went off, were also like her. I hate to say her personal legend was to be like one of those people who was waiting on their person
Mm.
and then started taking care of the oasis in their stead, was like her personal legend, but I don't think it is. I just think that that was kind of what they were kind of portraying, which would be bad. But um, yeah, there was a lot of people like that that she was like admiring. So,
Mm.
but they did fall in love, and that was another theme uh, as far as like love goes, which I'm still trying to reconcile with all this. Everything is the same idea, and so there's this central theme because might not have mentioned it, but there's a king that shows the boy what to do. He's kind of like comes in different forms and different phases, and we've all had that thing where we think that this is like a transformative moment. It kind of is the king telling him that this is something that he can pursue, and he needs to go this direction if he wants to actually achieve his dreams. That king, I believe, is also an alchemist.
Mm.
I think that there's a lot of um, parallels to what an alchemist is in here, and that kind of coincides with like maybe you've had like a personal journey of trying to figure out how people interact and seeing like how the world works. Just anything that lets you know what happiness is, or like how to like I'm trying to figure out like what makes me happy. You know what I mean? Or like what makes anybody happy, so I can repeatedly do that. You know what I mean? I want to know what it is that makes somebody satisfied so that I continue to do that or go in that direction. I feel like I've gotten a lot of progress on that. I feel like we're old enough to have progress on knowing what we like and like what makes us happy. But I want to know like why.
Mm.
I think this book gives a really good explanation onto like why things are, even if you don't believe that you can turn into the wind and and like go to space. I think that there's a lot of messages about like that makes sense. Like maybe you gave up on a dream and it seems like the universe is working against you. But there's a lot of little coincidental things that always happen that propel you in that direction in the first place, or like maybe you put off a dream for too long. There's so many explanations for why any of that takes place and any of that happens. Like for example, in like you see a lot of people once you get in the desert um, that give up on their dream. You know what I mean? Like the Oasis is one place where people understand the omens,
Mm.
but there's this one. Well, first of all, the Crystal Merchant definitely gave up on his dream, and it was too late for him to pursue it because he lost focus. But and I'm skipping around through the book because why not? But at the end of the almost at the end of the book, there's a bandit or like a thief who mugs the boy, and he was saying that he gave up on his dream like all grown-ups do, which I thought was really interesting because uh, he gave up on something that the boy is still trying to pursue, but it's also the same thing that leads the boy straight to his treasure. It's like completely opposite, and the boy was happy for getting beat up, which is to say that like I can see that happening in like all kinds of life. Like it's hard to stay persistent, and the idea of the heart being what slows you down and not the universe. It's really a big core theme in this. Um, I've been talking a
Yeah.
lot. I don't know.
No,
I don't know if any of that resonates
well,
with anybody else. Like, do you feel
I
that?
mean, yeah, it definitely resonates for me. That
Mm-hmm.
there's a point I was gonna make,
Good.
um, that kind of tied in to what you're talking about, like the alchemist
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. Like, I guess the pivotal point for me, or the part I enjoyed, I guess most, is when on the way to the oasis, like, they have to travel in, like this caravan, and like he meets like this, because like his name is Santiago,
Oh
but
yeah.
he's from Spain, so he's like considered an outsider, and like this other outsider, I think he's
Mm,
English or whatever, he meets
yeah, yeah.
him,
Oh,
and
does he speak English? I mean, you're probably right about
yeah,
that.
I
He
think
seems
he's an
like he.
Englishman,
I
but
see. I see. I see.
they're both at this point they're both speaking like
Mm,
Arabic or whatever, but yeah, so he's like very he wants to meet the alchemist and
Mm.
like train under him, and like that's his life goal. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
and like he's older
yeah.
than the boy.
And he wants to turn lead to gold or something like that. Something he wants to be able to create gold or something. This
Yeah,
is his dream,
and
I think.
he's on his like personal legend, like what is meant for him, and but he's like very into like reading his books and whatnot, and that's how he learns about the world. And the boy's like, you need to try listening to the people in the
Mm,
caravan, and so they like try it, like they switch, like
mm.
he gives him books, and then like the guy goes around and like starts talking to more people.
Mm.
But then they have like this thing where like
He
they
also
don't
listens to the desert too, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
but they
just the
don't
silence.
agree, like they're like, I'm not learning like how
Yeah.
I was. But
Uh,
in my personal opinion, the boy was like, okay, so everyone has like their own ways that
they
suits
can.
them
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah,
about learning about the world.
yeah. I
Where
agree. Yeah, yeah. That seems like real life too, where it's like two people can come to the same conclusion with different pathways there. It just depends on like what you're into. I think that the I think that the guy, and we were talking about this earlier, is that I think that that story with the old wise man, um, I think that the guy trying to become the alchemist was the one pathway um, where he was too focused on the spoon with the oil in it, to where he didn't realize what he needed to realize to become the alchemist that he wanted to be. He didn't see any of the things around him. Didn't he wasn't even good at speaking. Uh, what was it? What were they speaking?
Arabic.
Yeah, he wasn't even good at speaking Arabic. Um, or was he good at speaking Arabic? I don't remember. But whatever it was, is that he was only focused on his books, and then the actual alchemist was like, "Dog, like no, that's not enough." He said, "Sit there until you can make it happen," which is like kind of a really rude thing to tell the wannabe alchemist to do something. Didn't he say that he couldn't do it even if he wanted to, because that's not his legend, it's not his dream?
He said there was something he needed to do first before he
Oh,
got
okay, okay.
to that point. And
I
so,
see, I
which
see.
I found that interesting because he was actively like seeking out the alchemist, and then like, but he's like, no, it's not your time. But the boy, it's
Yeah,
our time to get
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like,
No,
like we have a journey we need to
I
be on
saw that
together.
coming because the dude seemed like he was like he was a little annoying, like just a little bit, and I was just
Mm.
like, he's like the boy's gonna take the alchemist and he's gonna be spiteful or something. But no, he just off screened. Just I guess he's still practicing to turn
Mm.
lead into gold or something like that. So that's yeah, that was a really nice, satisfying little moment because the boy didn't even want to know the alchemist. I don't think he wanted to know him, right? Like he was just
Mm.
like, this guy might also know about the omens, which are you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
and like he had the what was
premonition.
happened, like the way he met him, it's like he kind of saved him, right? Because
Oh yeah,
he was telling
yeah,
the like the chief and like
yeah,
in the oasis about like, okay, this omen, they're like, why would the
yeah.
earth speak
Who
to
dares
you,
speak the
the omens?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he had to like convince
Mm.
them that like what he said was like
Yeah,
truthful.
which is nice of the Oasis people to believe in the Owens too. It seems like the harsher the situation is, the more you believe in this guiding principle of life. That there are little things that can peek into like the master work or whatever they call it, the soul of the earth or something like that. Because the
Mm.
people in the Oasis live there, like that's where they're at. So it kind of makes sense that the village elders would believe in this kind of ethereal magic that connects all of us. Um, and so it's nice that you can see that they would stake the boy's life on lying, first of all, but that they would believe him at all, and then arm everybody, and obviously,
Mm.
protect against the thing that the soldiers coming to kill them. I don't really know what the war has to do with anything. Like I know it was like part of a plot. They needed the war to be there, so it was like hard to get there. But in a book that everything means something, I thought the war would have been like something meaningful. But I think it was just there for a plot device.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the point too, like the oasis is for like years, I think it's mentioned that's why they didn't believe the boy at first, is like
yeah,
that's a what's the word, like another you know what I mean?
It's a
Um,
safe place. It's like a
yeah, like
yeah. It's a safe
neutral
neutral zone.
ground.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Militarized zone.
And then like all of a sudden they're like, okay, hundreds of years of
Yeah, neutrality.
yeah,
Yeah,
neutrality. They're gonna disregard that. So
yeah. That was very unprecedented for them. But they also said that there was like a boy who was or an outsider who was a boy who came and like predicted something and warned them of some sort of attack, and so
mm,
this could be happening again. So that was nice that they believed that, or at least it was nice that somebody else. I wonder if that's like a story of like Moses or something,
mm,
or maybe a story of like some biblical verse because it's a very heavily Christian book, and I'm Christian, and so a lot of it made sense. But I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of parts in this where you should be able to, like, to me, I think that you should be able to experience all the things you need to know in life and then understand some meaning out of it, like that guides you. So kind of like what the boy's doing, like where he's seeing the changes in people at first, and it's like, he's starting to understand how people work in Africa, not just in Africa, but like that's when he starts like seeing the interpersonal relationships and having some sort of like premonition onto why things are and why the omens work and why these things are the way that they are through the interactions with people. And then halfway through the book in the Oasis, he starts seeing the interactions in the birds, and it's so much more subtle because they're obviously not birds. But it's so much more subtle, and you can see that he's starting to see more and more of this guiding principle, and it kind of makes it feel really like whole, like this principle that they're trying to push on us that like everything is the same. Um, and then he gets so good at it, he starts seeing sand and being able to talk because he was supposed to turn himself into like into the wind for the
mm,
bandits. The alchemist was like, yeah, this dude can do it. He's an alchemist. Which makes me think that the alchemist can also trick God into making him into sand or something. Um, but he's able to speak to them through the omens, um, that he learned how to talk in, which is this unheard of. It's this unspoken nature that everybody communicates in. That people, I mean, that animals and the sand and all these things communicate in. I don't know if animals communicate in it that much, but I know that people act out it. There's the influence of the soul of the earth in the people, so it must be in the plants and everybody. I know the alchemist at the end of the book was really cool because he could like talk to the boy through the wind,
mm-hmm.
which is great. Like he was probably like, "Hey, can you carry this message over to my homie in Spain?" And like the first of all, wind does not travel that fast. Like like I don't care what you say. I guess it's the idea that all air is connected. So I'm getting really nerdy about this. I'm about to get into like physics, but I thought I liked all that, so that at one point you get so fluent with the omens that you become, telepathic. It's pretty cool. And he kissed his girl, through the phone. Sorry,
Yeah, through the phone.
but yeah. Well, I guess that was like a nice like experience to read, and I feel like
Yeah,
I came away from it with a lot. Did you come away with it with a lot, or do you have like
I
a
did. I besides like that one instance I was talking about earlier, I think the end is my
yeah,
favorite. The
yeah,
conclusion was there the whole time. He just needed
yeah,
to go experience
yeah?
all
That would
that
have pissed me off.
and forget about the merchant girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Whatever. She didn't even like him anyways. I
Yeah,
I was like, this girl's gonna manipulate you. Yeah. But what would you rate this book out of 10 on the spot right now?
out of 10. Usually like not
Out of five
high.
stars.
Probably like 4.
5 stars. I liked it. I liked it. I have
Yeah.
no faults with this book whatsoever. I think that it was very concise in its message. And I think it applies to like way too much for me to not give it a. It seems like the book is self-referential in itself. Like it's like this thing is talking about like it feels like the emerald. You know what I mean? Like they talk about like the
Mm.
first alchemist text that was like given to them by God or something like that. And there's like one line in it, you know what I mean? Like just
Mm-hmm.
like one single line. And then alchemists became more and more heady with their kind of like, knowledge, and then it spread out into more and more. books and stuff like that. And this feels like somebody's emerald that you'd find, just some concise piece of little text that can point you in the direction of the soul of the earth, which I would love it if somebody hasn't read the book and then they're just watching this review and they're like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I give it a 5 out of 5. Also, Alexandra pointed out that I'm Christian, so it probably uh, lets me, it probably makes me like more sensitive to like the changes of that they're alluding to in this, because
Like
yeah,
parallels.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I can't speak parallels.
No, yeah, no, like it does though. It like parallels all of Christianity and like a lot of messages of Christianity too. And even when it's
Yeah.
like, that might be sound blasphemous, but like there's a lot of messages um of like some sort of guiding principle, right?
Hmm.
And maybe it's not just Christianity. It's also like the Quran, because they mentioned that in the Quran. That's what
Hmm.
I think they said Maktub or something like that, and that's like as it was written. And I think that's a verse that's like part of like the Quran that is written in there. I might be misquoting the Quran. I haven't read it, but it's like the idea that all religions and everything can be tied into the same core principles, and to make that claim and then I can't really refute it. Like they prove it too many times in my own personal life for this book to be wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I
Hmm.
mean, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying for me, it's like I haven't come across anything that disproves that I can't turn myself into the wind if I think about it hard enough. You know?
Hmm.
And I wrote a poem about it. You can't go check it out. I haven't written it yet, finished it yet, but
I wrote a
I
poem. I
wrote a
haven't
poem.
written it yet.
No, the Omens wrote the poem for me, and it is written. It will be
Yes.
written later by future Auty. So technically, I've already written it. There you go. That's a
Alright.
weird way to end this. But
Yeah.
yeah, so 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. Pretty good book. Thank you, Marin.
Hmm.
If you guys have any more suggestions on what we should read next, um, put it in the comments below. I forgot what it was called for a second. Um, let us know. We're probably, well, Alexandra has some ideas about what we're going to read next for those, and I know I'm supposed to read another book for I forgot what it's called, Sea of Tranquility or something like that. But I
Hmm.
really want to read some like um, sci-fi, fantasy, some modern kind of stuff. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
So yeah,
maybe like a thriller or something
or yeah,
next.
thriller or horror, something like that. That'd be nice to get into. And then tell us what you like about this. Do you like us breaking down like themes, or do you like us doing play by plays? I think I have a lot of ideas about like some of the themes in this book, and that was fun to import them all onto you and Alexandra. But let us know what you guys think about like
Mm.
that, and if that's something that y'all would like to see. All right.
Okay.
Don't forget to
Thank
comment
you.
and like and subscribe, and do all the things. All right. Y'all have a nice day.
Good night.